Hey chefies! So today I'm going to do something different. We're not going to be cooking anything or working out. February 7th, which is today, is the anniversary of my mom's passing. I lost my mom February 7th of 2016 to liver cancer. And I just wanted to take time to just talk about the whole experience of, you know, losing my mom, but also losing her to cancer. And I think that a lot of people are experiencing losing their parents or loved ones to cancer or terminal illness. And it's a very hard experience. You go through things, you know, like with my mom, it was very fast. She was diagnosed with terminal cancer in November of 2015. And when they gave her the diagnosis, you know, they said you have 6 months to a year. And, you know, I remember when my mom called me to tell me I was supposed to be flying back for Thanksgiving, and I was really excited, you know, because I was working with this client and wasn't sure if I was going to be off for Thanksgiving. So normally I would have surprised her, but this time I was so excited, I just wanted to let her know, you know, I'm coming home. And she didn't talk to me for about a week. It was so weird because me and my mom usually communicated a few times a week, if not through text, then through phone calls. When she told me that she had the cancer, it was, I'll never forget it. I was supposed to have gone somewhere with a friend and decided to stay home. And, you know, I'm like, yo, what's up with you? I've been trying to get a hold of you, Mom. Like, what you been doing? And, you know, what's up? And she's like, oh, you know, I had to go get the car looked at, and she said something else. But initially she didn't tell me about her cancer diagnosis. It came, I think, a phone call after that. And she just basically said that she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and, you know, and she cried, and there was like a sound that I had never heard before. And, you know, I knew at the time that I just needed to be strong for her, right? And I feel like for her, she felt like she needed to be strong for me too, you know? So I knew that I had to be strong for my mom. So initially, you know, of course, like, I cried. I was silent initially when she told me. And then I just remembered saying, like, nah, like, they don't know what they're talking about. That's the first, you know, that's the first doctor. We can go see another doctor. You know, I'm gonna fly out there, because at the time I was living in Los Angeles and my mom was living in Seattle, which is where she was born and raised. So of course, like, I'm telling her, like, you can't eat meat, no dairy, everything has to be organic until I get out there next week. I, like, hired a juicing company to bring her juices. And, you know, I told her, like, you know, cancer and diabetes is $1 billion business in America. It's not something happening, it's being done. So whatever it is that we're talking about, like, we could fight it. We could fight it, you know? And my mom, I feel like my mom accepted it, you know? Like, and I feel like you have to be very, very mindful about the power of your own mind, you know, and the power of your own will. And I just feel like my mom accepted the death sentence that they gave her. And, you know, watching her body and everything transpire over the 3 months that we had together, like, I get it, because it's a lot of pain when the body starts breaking down. So when the body starts breaking down, it starts going through different things. And because my mom had liver cancer, it meant that, like, the fluids inside of her body would expand. And she would kind of balloon up, so she would have to go to the hospital and get the liquid, like, drained. Because my mom lived in Seattle and I lived in Los Angeles, and she wasn't going to be able to be working, I still had to be the breadwinner and help her with her finances and pay all of my finances in Los Angeles and get everything together to move to Seattle. The prognosis was given to her in November. I flew out every other week from November until February. And it's crazy because of how fast that happened. It's like 1 week, you know, we had to have very hard conversations really quick. Like, you know, and stuff that we didn't want to talk about. Like, do you want to get buried or do you want to get cremated? Do you want to have a funeral service? Who do you want me to tell? You know, what's going to go on with the house? You know, what's going on with your accounts? And it was a lot of business, you know, like death is business in America. And that's like something that you don't realize until you're experiencing it firsthand and getting somebody's affairs in order. So I feel like my mom was like bombarded and overwhelmed with all of that. And, you know, it was probably hard on her that I wasn't able to be there every single day. But the plan was to move back to Seattle February 7th, right? Which was a Sunday. And I have been talking to my mom a few times a day to a few times a week up until this point. And me and my mom used to have a really rocky relationship. But after my grandma died, which was in 2010, I'll have to look at the obituary. But that's when my mom like stopped arguing, stopped fighting. My grandma ended up dying in the same room that my mom died in. Both of them died with me in the room at their side, so I crossed them over, which is very hard, but it's a gift because I know a lot of people that were not around to experience the transition and they didn't handle that well. And you know, it's a beautiful thing that, you know, I could be strong for them and hold their hand and, you know, just tell them that it was okay to, you know, let go, cross over, you know. But when my grandma died, me and my mom just ended up getting really close. Like, I understood, you know, I had to tell my mom that her mom died. So that was like another experience of a cry and a sound that came out of my mom that I never heard, because my mom was like, she's a Capricorn. And very icy is what I thought it was forever. She didn't really show emotions, you know. She was more of a person that always wanted me to get over things, you know, get over it. Why are you still crying about that? It already happened. Let it go. Like, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And it built a wall between us because I couldn't let go of a lot of things because I felt like they needed to be acknowledged, you know. So we fought a lot. And because of the early childhood trauma, I blamed my mom. So we went through years of a hard time with each other. And so when she's dying, I'm thinking about all of that time, you know, thinking about all of that time, and I'm just trying not to be too hard on myself, right? Because when your mom dies, you regret all the times that you were a shitty human being to her. Because I didn't start really understanding and respecting my mom until I realized that she was her own person and her own woman before I came along. And I kept wanting her to be somebody that she wasn't. So once I like started understanding who she was as a person and not, you know, counting what she fell short of and giving her credit for the things that, you know, she did do right with me, things just got better. So when she was dying, we had not argued in a few years, which was great for her and I. And the week before she died, she called me and she just had this very bizarre conversation where it felt like she was back in time. And the conversation was about her kicking me out when I was 14 years old. And she said that, you know, she didn't expect me to make a way. You know, she didn't expect me to figure it out. And that at the time, she felt like I hated her and that I hated being white, and that, you know, the best decision was to allow me to go live with my black friends. And that's what it was about, you know. And we had never really had a full conversation about it, you know, about that time. So it was very weird for me to have that conversation. And again, this was a week before she died. So I'm like, Ma, like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's old. And she's like, no, but I want to talk about it. And I'm like, but if we talk about it, we got to be real about it. It can't be how you see it, you know? And she's like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, you know, there was a lot that led up to me getting kicked out of my house. It wasn't, you know, just me being angry or out of control. It, you know, my mom admitted she never knew how to raise a black child, and I don't think anyone really has conversations about raising biracial children or mixed children and, you know, how that affects them. I don't really think that there's that big of a space of room to talk about it. So she's telling me this, and, you know, it was hard for me to hear that my mom thought that I hated her and didn't love her. But I also said to her that I thought she hated and didn't love me. And it's like, wow, we were both looking for the same things within each other, but didn't know how to get it, right? So I'm just telling her, you know, when you did kick me out, it made me feel abandoned. And it's caused issues with me all along the way, you know, with abandonment and just me being highly independent, not wanting people to help me, not trusting people helping me. And just wanting to do everything on my own. When you get kicked out of your house at 14 years old and you make a way, when you were taught all the wrong ways, you don't really like listening to other people. Like, that's just kind of just how it goes. You know, I was a child that made a way in this world by myself without the support of my mom, my dad, or my family. So the conversation just wasn't the best conversation to be our last conversation. And I remember saying to her midway, like, she didn't understand or didn't want to, like, really hear that part, that she made me feel not loved, not wanted, and that's affected me till this day. She didn't want to hear that. And then I heard her cry. And then I heard her tell me that she was tired. The last conversation ended with her telling me that she was tired and that she loved me and that we would talk later. And then when I called a few days or later on that evening, she didn't answer. She was only talking to me through text. So I thought, like, oh, she's mad. So I tried calling her the next day. She doesn't answer. She only talks to me through text. So I'm like, okay, obviously she feels the way about the conversation, you know, whatever. I'm not thinking that she's deteriorating at a rapid rate, which is what it was. So all of this conversation happened on a Saturday, and by that Thursday, I'm calling my cousin that lives in Seattle, and I'm like, yo, I need you to go put eyes on my mom. Like, something's up. Like, it don't feel right. She's not calling me back, and her texts are weird, like, you know. So my cousin, this was a Thursday, my cousin went there, and the February 7th, which was that Sunday, was when I was supposed to be making the official move. Like, all my movers were coming, my flight was that day. So my cousin goes to the house, and she calls me later, and she's like, you need to get on a flight, you need to get out here. And I knew, you know, like, I knew what was coming, right? I knew exactly what was coming. So I'm like on the phone trying to get flights. I couldn't get on anything the same day. Like, I literally had to, like, stop and prepare my mind. And I called a few friends to come to my house to help me at least get all of my things put in boxes, and finding a friend that would be willing to be at the house while the movers come, and I was on the first flight that Friday. So, you know, I know what death looks like because I've seen it before, and my mom was like a shell. It looked kind of like very frail, like she was less than 100 pounds. It was just like skin on a skeleton. She couldn't verbally speak, and her communication was through moaning. And, you know, like, I know she knew that I was there and could hear me. So, you know, I, like, brushed her hair, and helped give her like a bed bath because there was a hospital bed. Like by now hospice was in the house. She wanted to die in the house. Clearly she passed in the same room as my grandma. So in the same situation, my grandma wanted to die in the house, you know, through hospice care. So, you know, I just laid in bed with my mom for 3 days. And on the third day, which was the Sunday, which was February 7th, when I was supposed to be moving there anyway, my cousin, you know, was bringing me food because I wasn't eating. And she's like, you know, Jourdan, you got to get out the bed. You got to take a shower. You got to wash your hair. Showering or doing my hair or, you know, getting out of the bed because I knew that she was going to die and I didn't want to miss it, you know. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to put a deep conditioner in my hair. Like, you know, like sit in the room with her, you know, like just watch her. So if anything funny starts happening, you can call me. And in the middle of me saying that, one of my mom's childhood friends came into the house and she hadn't seen her and didn't really know, you know, how far along it was. And she asked me to step out of the room. So I was like, cool, this gives me time to like get dressed and, you know, put the deep conditioner in my hair. So she was in there with the door closed, you know, talking to my mom. And when she came out of when my mom's friend came out of the bedroom, I was putting the deep conditioner in my hair, and I remember looking at her in the doorway and her telling me, you know, she's not going to die with you in the room. Like, you have to give her the space. She doesn't want to do it in front of you. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, thank you for your opinion, right? And as me and her are talking, my cousin had walked into the room to be with my mom, and she's like, you know, Jourdan, you should come in here. And, you know, I went in there and her breathing was weird, and I think it was in like 2 minutes, you know, like I remember laying in the bed, putting my head on her chest, and she like took her last breath. And I remember that I put my head on her chest and I just laid there, and within a few minutes, probably, I think it was really 2 minutes, you know, I felt her last breath leave her chest, and, you know, I screamed. And so I remembered that I was screaming for a while, and I refused to get out of the bed. So I laid with the body for probably 45 minutes until one of my mom's best friends came, and is also one of the women that helped raise me. So when my mom kicked me out when I was 14, this was at the time, my best friend's mom. So who I moved in with. So she ended up being one of my mom's best friends later down the line. So she came over and she's like, I don't mean to be cussing, but you need to get the fuck up out of this bed. Like, your mom would not want you here. Get the fuck out of the bed. Like, her body needs to be taken away. You need to let the body go. This is not how you need to remember her. And I just remember she had to like get help from my cousin to get me away from the body and out of the bed. And, you know, shortly after, the coroners are there, the hospice people are there, you know, there's the business of that. And, you know, that was the transition, you know. So, you know, February 7th is the day that my mom passed away, and within less than a week later, she was cremated because that's what she wanted to do. Her direction was cremate me, put some of my ashes in a field of flowers, which I did. I put her in a field of tulips. There's a tulip fair in Washington State, which I went to, and let some of her ashes go. And then now I take her ashes with me on international trips, and take her to places she's never been and leave a little bit of her there. And then there's majority of her in here, which I keep on an altar that you guys partially have seen in my room. I'm getting a new one put together now. I just wanted to take the time to show you guys what ashes look like if you guys have never seen it, because I thought it was kind of crazy. These were some custom earrings I had made, some custom jade earrings before my mom passed. But it kind of looks like sand. Oh, and I learned when my little sister died this summer that the darker the skin, the darker the sand or the body. So, let's see. It's very chalky. And, you know, those are the bones. So, yeah. This is what cremation is all about. So my mom's in the air now. Bless this house. So yeah, I hope that wasn't too much for you, but just so y'all know and are prepared if you're going through it and this, you know, you're curious about what it looked like, that's what it looked like. So have a blessed one. Now, and then I also wear the dragonfly pendant, which has some of her ashes in it. So it's basically a urn. Dragonflies were her favorite and green was her favorite color. So I pretty much do certain things that honor my mom every day, whether I wear green or wear something that's hers, because I have a lot of, you know, small articles of her clothing or, you know, things of that nature. But in relation to losing a parent to a terminal illness and especially cancer and the weight of all of that and, you know, things that I think people should do or keep in mind, you know, and this was advice, part of this was advice that I got from my other friend, Brandy, whose mom had died a year before mine to cancer. And I forget how long her mom fought, you know, but I remember when her mom was initially diagnosed, I reached out to Brandy and sent her a juice file and was like, get her on juicing, stop giving her, you know, this food. And they actually did it. And, you know, after her mom passed, Brandy reached out to me and was just like, you know, I just wanted to tell you that I believe, you know, the juicing and what you told me about the diet added on time with my mom. So it's like sad that she's gone, but I believe you helped us add time. And that was one of the most humbling experiences and like, you know, compliments that I could have ever gotten, is extending somebody's life, you know, especially somebody's mother, somebody that I love, you know. And who would have knew the next year I'd be going through it with my mom, you know. But my mom didn't believe in the juice working, you know. She didn't believe in that. And for her, she's like, I'm gonna smoke all the cigarettes I want to, I'm gonna eat all the meat that I want to, I'm gonna eat all the cheese, like, because I'm gonna die anyway. And that was pretty much how she went out. Like, she wasn't gonna conform, or she said the juice was nasty and she wasn't gonna do it. So we kind of battled, you know. She kind of did it, but not really, you know. And that goes back to, you know, when somebody you love is diagnosed, like, you have to remind them to like stay in their mind, like, fight it, believe that they can fight it. Don't listen to exactly what the doctors are telling you, because they have to tell you the worst case scenario legally, you know. It's a liability if they don't, so they have to tell you worst case scenario. But I believe that you can fight it, and I believe that you can fight it, you know, through your diet. But it's just so funny how, you know, some people believe and some people don't, you know. And what Brandy told me when my mom was first diagnosed was, have your mom start writing you letters, or write letters to your future kids, you know, stuff that she would want them to know, or like write in a journal. And then she was saying, and if not writing, you know, have her record her voice telling stories, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like telling my mom this, and, you know, and she's like, okay, yeah, sounds, you know, yeah, okay. But she didn't like her handwriting. Then she was like, I don't like my handwriting. It doesn't look like it used to look. So she didn't want to do the writing. So then I'm like, well, I want you to talk. And then she's like, I don't really want to talk. So she didn't do it. But, you know, my advice to other people when, you know, your parent is dying or somebody you love is dying is to get their voice, especially their laugh. This is what Brandy encouraged, on a recording, so that you have it for later, or do video vlogs with them, you know. Her mom was recently diagnosed with terminal cancer, so we were kind of like talking about moms and stuff like that. So, you know, so yeah. So yeah,
something though.
What?
I think I told you this, but I don't know if you were at a point to hear it. Mm-hmm. But my roommate and your mother passed away on the same day, same year. And she lost her mom and dad in the same year. She lost her mom on February 7th, and then she lost her dad a week before her birthday in September that same year.
That shit is heavy.
And I lived with her the following year. And it was just like
hard.
So it was like an interesting place for me to be in, but I feel like I was in that place particularly for a reason as well, to experience healing through someone who had lost both parents. Right. That was she's only 2 weeks older than me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How's she doing?
She's doing okay. She's living on her own now, and she's taking care of herself. Because it's like you don't really know what's happening. You just know your mom's not there.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy because, like, obviously she's doing, even though you don't understand that, she's doing that to get me. Yeah. Yeah, and to experience the trauma regardless, even out of an act of love, is like even crazier. And it's just,
well, I never really understood that part. I really took that in until I read the letters. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was always like, yeah, my mom filed for custody and won. She's one of the only ones that was able to get custody. Like, my dad had all the other kids.
She still has a lot of anger. But she loved her dad. Was the same way. He was a hustler too, girl. He was known too, but in Atlanta though, like super OG.
Yep.
He got murdered.
It's a whole nother thing. Murder.
But her mom passed away randomly at work, like
what? Like a brain
attack.
Oh yeah. Like brain aneurysm, heart attack. So crazy, so sad.
So sad.
Dang, we're supposed to be doing headshots. I'm all sad now.
You about to be beat?
Beat, sad beat.
Sad beat.
The sad beat. No, I'm just playing. But yeah.
I'm thankful though.
But I mean, that's my advice though. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? It is, you know, and just because you guys are talking more doesn't mean that you're accepting anything. Anything can change. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, anything can change, but there's still stuff that you want to know.
Yeah.
There's still stuff that you're going to want to hear. You know what I'm saying?
And I think, like, because my mom is...
I mean, and I think that that's important for even us to do. Like, I write in journals, so my kids going to have stuff to look at, like, to see who I am. Because the thing is we don't really get a chance to get to know our parents for who they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not until late. Like, sometimes when it's too late.
When it's too late.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're trying to cram everything in. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And heal. And learn them.
Right. It's such a process.
Yeah. Life is definitely unfolding in the most interesting ways.
Yeah.
Because I would have never known.
Right. I was
like, how savage life is.
Oh, I knew.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I knew.
My mom, but the crazy thing
and then
is my
it's funny
mom
because
and your mom are kind of different because my mom tried to cover me up from a lot of shit, and so that really fucked me up. Growing up and not knowing shit, like I was literally.
Well, but no, it didn't work for my mom. Shouldn't have been telling me.
Not
shit.
As much, but
my mom was telling me shit that I was the child.
Yeah,
like, you don't need to be having grown-up conversations with your children.
But when I turned 15, I had a whole other like. It was like this thing that I thought was so great.
Girl, you saying 15? I'm talking about 6.
Yeah, of course.
Like, why do I need to know my dad is a drug dealer when I'm 6 years old?
Right. The only reason why I bring that up is because you said you left when you were 14.
I did.
Yeah.
I was out of there. Like, when I really, really take it in and look back, like, I'm like, it's wild that I'm here. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's where, you know, like, I think that's kind of like where the self-sabotage conversation or like patterns come from, because I get to certain places and it's like,
how the hell did I get here?
Well, or like I used to be like, it's all gonna get taken away. This isn't gonna last forever. Or you're not really supposed to be here. You're not good enough. Like just conversations in my own mind. Like, yeah, you're not really that good. Or, you know, even if my clients are the best and they were telling me I was the best, like, I'm still just like, I'm not. I'm really not that good. Like, I just cook. Like, that's all I do.
I feel you 100,000%. But it's like.
But now, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm one of the best.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm one of the best. not the best, because there's people that are the best too. So there's more than one best.
The best is subjective.
Yeah, the best is more than me. Like, I'm not a person that's like, nobody else is great at what they... No, I'm never not an only. I'm a queen, and there's hella queens out here.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. I've never been, like, subscribed to that. But I think that when people hear you talk about, like, confidence, they can perceive it as arrogance. Talking about the past, or like who they were when, you know, because I feel like I got to know a lot more about who my mom was after she died. And I think that was really sad, that I didn't know my mom that much as a person. And I think that this happens a lot of times with parents and children, is that your parents feel like they have to shield you from so much that they kind of cut off parts of who they are, and you don't really know. And when you do find out, it's usually when they're already gone, you know, and that sucks. So, you know, that's a major thing, you know, is the preparation. And you do need to get affairs in order and make sure that the wills are done, and make sure that everything is, you have like a guardian of the estates, and you made decisions about property and how money is supposed to be allocated, and, you know, those type of things, the business of death. Because when you're not prepared, it's hard. It's very hard, and there's nobody that's going to tell you. So it's like, you have to do the hard things. You have to have the hard conversations. You know, I never knew that my mom wanted to be cremated until we were talking about her dying, you know, and she was like, I don't want to rot under the ground. Just burn my body and put my ashes places. And I was like, Mom, don't be talking about burning your body. And she's like, no, you need to know what to do. And it was true. So that's my advice too. And, you know, spending as much time as you can with them when they're going through these things, especially if you want to help them get better or get them to believe that they can fight it. You have to be present. You have to make them feel like they are the top priority for you. And they should be, you know? So yeah, like, I love my mom, and I feel my mom with me every day. Like, I see dragonflies randomly. My friends will send me pictures of dragonflies, or like say, hey girl, your mom was saying what's up to me, you know. I have dragonflies randomly painted around my place for my mom. My tea set has dragonflies on it. I have dragonflies tattooed on me. You know, my mom is always with me. I can feel her. You know, a week and a half after I got her ashes, I took my relocation contract with Tyler Perry to Atlanta, and literally picked up our ashes, walked into my house, saw my aunt, you know, laying on the couch, and I'm like, I have to get out of Seattle. I cannot be here. Like, I don't even like to be out here in Seattle, but I really don't want to be here. Every corner, every block, every fiber of Seattle reminds me of my mom, and I couldn't do it. So the fact that I'm walking in, holding this in her house, saying, I gotta get out of here. I went and took a nap and woke up to the relocation. Well, it wasn't a relocation offer initially. It was come work with us for this period of time. And then after a week and a half of me being there, it was a bit longer term contract being offered. So I think I was about 2 months in, or a month and a half in. I was about a month and a half in, and they were trying to get me to commit to longer. And I had to tell them I needed a month or two because my mom had just died. And they were very taken aback by that, because they're like, what do you mean your mom just died? When? And I'm like, oh, February 7th. I was in Atlanta working on February 21st. They never knew anything was going on with me. You know what I'm saying? I did not give myself time or space to grieve, which is not a good thing. And, you know, Mr. P had a conversation with me about that. And, you know, I think, what's the sentence that made the greatest impact? Because I'm not going to tell you everything he said. Because, you know. But what he did say was, you know, he asked me how I was doing. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like, where do you know? And he's like, you know, when you don't make time for grief, it will find you. It will sit and wait for you, you know, or it will sit you down. So, you know, he said that, you know, if I needed time or I needed space or if I needed help, you know, that I needed to let them know, you know, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, just shrugging everything off. Like, yeah, I'm good. Okay, thank you so much. You know, But in retrospect, you know, I understand that I probably should have given myself the time and the space to grieve. But I think that all of us are afraid of giving ourselves time and space to feel pain and sadness, you know, because then it's like, I don't have the tools to come back up out of that, you know? So I ended up, you know, after a year, you know, I left and I started just traveling and focusing on myself. So that's what I did. I traveled to Greece first, and then I did Cuba, South Africa. I did Barbados most recently, or no, not most recently, Barbados, and then I did Bali. So traveling has become part of the healing process for me. So yeah, you know, my mom was one of the best women that I've ever known. And, you know, even though our relationship was very hard and trying, she built me. You know what I'm saying? Like, she used to tell me all the time, like, I never thought you were going to make it. Your anger scared me. I thought that your anger and your emotions were going to get the best of you and you wouldn't even be here today. Like, I remember her saying that when I was working with Floyd. And I'm like, what? Like, you really thought I wasn't going to make it? And she's like, yes, Jourdan, a few times. I didn't think you were going to make it. Like, I'm so proud of you, and I don't know where you got the drive from. And I remember my mom always just kind of putting herself down. Like, I don't think my mom ever understood how bomb she was. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, going through my own self-healing, I've realized, like, my mom was really sad a lot of the time, you know, not really fulfilled. And then she had to deal with this angry black child, adult, you know, like, she had to deal with this forever, you know. But I know that she loved me with every fiber of her being, and I know she knows that I loved her with every fiber of my being. And my mom made me highly independent, highly sufficient. She taught me about integrity. I don't lie, I don't steal, I don't cheat, you know what I'm saying? And because I'm a product of a lifestyle and not necessarily a relationship, she just taught me about realities of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just really cut from a different cloth, and I think that my mom was a lot more powerful than she knew. And, you know, and now I know that that power that she had, that was quiet, that maybe she didn't really know what to do with, and, you know, all the broken pieces that she had in her that fell onto me, like, I'm putting it together and painting a different picture. Like, I'm breaking generational curses, and, you know, I'm you know, making up for the sins of my parents. Like, so, you know, it's a hard thing to lose a parent, and it's a really hard thing to lose a mother. But the body leaves and the spirit really does live on. So I know that my mom's energy is around me. But of course, like, I miss hugging her, and I want to hear her voice. I have like 2 voicemails from her that I listen to from time to time because it's really hard to hear her voice, but thank God I have that.
Hi, Jourdan. This is your mother. I was just returning your call. But I just want to let you know that I am probably going to go to bed kind of early because I just am so tired today. Why, I don't know. But anyway, I went to Whole Foods and got a bunch of organic vegetables and stuff and the juices, and I drank the juices, and I'm doing good. So let me call you tomorrow, okay? All right, sweetie. I love you. Bye-bye.
But yeah, man, like, love on your moms, man. Like, even if it's hard and they do things that hurt you or whatever, just gotta keep forgiving them and forgiving yourself, and, you know, just keep, even if it's not fully open, because some parents are really toxic, just checking in, you know what I'm saying? Because the guilt once your parents die, if you didn't have a good relationship, can be overwhelming. So I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the day to honor my mom. It's going to be art related because that's what she was always into. And hopefully this episode wasn't too sad, but I don't really know how to make talking about my mom dying like happy. But for anybody that's going through this transition with a parent or anybody that they love where they're dying from a terminal illness, my suggestion is to make memories, record things, get laughter down, have them write letters, and just make sure that they know how much you love them while they're here. Because when they go, it's really not gonna matter. Have a good one. Bye, Chefies.